One of my favorite quotes actually is that the public will praise you for what you practice in private. And I firmly believe that, which kind of reinforces what you were just saying. This morning I saw this quote that said, "Pain does not exist." And I saw this and I thought on it for a while. I was like, I do agree with this. And then I didn't agree with it. And now I think I do agree with it again, because pain only exists if you give it a voice. And I believe that when we're going through these hard seasons of life, whenever we experience any amount of pain, which if we are living human beings, we're going to experience discomfort, hard things. But just because it starts getting painful doesn't mean we have to stop, give up, quit. And we can give pain, however you describe that or perceive it, we can give pain as much voice and influence as we want to. But I believe that's a personal responsibility of how you control and manage pain. Pain management, not just physical pain, but mental, emotional, physical pain, overall pain management, and the way that you manage pain is potentially one of your greatest strengths that you can exhibit as an individual. And that will dictate what you achieve, the outcomes you experience. How well do you control and manage the pain, whether you give it a voice or not? I think that's a super powerful just thought process around pain in general.
I mean, one of my favorite topics to talk about, and not like in a masochistic way, but I feel like I've read that quote before too. It made me very thoughtful, thinking about like, okay, what is he actually trying to say? And it's like, if you give it life, it would be very hard for me to say that pain doesn't exist to like an 8-year-old that's been abused by.
And that's where my thought process went to.
Yeah.
It's like, it's hard. I didn't feel right saying that pain does not exist, because I know that people go through painful situations in life.
Yeah.
And it's.
But I track with you what you're saying. Like, I agree with you. It is, and I think, I bet this is what the quote was meaning, is like, it's the value in which we give it. It's the focus in which we give it. So if that's all that we're focusing on, and we actually then become it, I think people can, when they are in a lot of pain, they just think that is what life is. Like, I am living in this, I am feeling it, and I don't like it. And so I think that quote is powerful, because it kind of makes you think about, I mean, we can say a few different words in that. I mean, people can say that joy doesn't exist and anxiety doesn't exist. And it all kind of comes back to our perspective, what we think about and how much value we give it, whether or not we're going to give it life. You know, we started off talking about the Western states, and when you were pacing me, and I said, I just leaned into the fact that you were there. My friend was there, and you were okay with running with me when I was so uncomfortable. That was amazing. That didn't take away from the fact that I was hurting. And again, it was a temporary physical sense, but it's just, I also could have just been like, Nick, can you please not talk? Like, I'm just going to focus on how bad I feel. And I've absolutely done that in my life. I've given pain so much life, so much control over me. And I don't think that's a good idea. So this idea that pain doesn't exist, it doesn't exist to rule our life. It doesn't exist to paralyze us. It doesn't exist to crush our spirit.
Maybe a better way to phrase it is, you control the power of pain.
Yes. I like that.
Pain can exist.
I like that.
But how much power, how much influence do you allow it to have over your life?
100%.
Because that's where I struggle with it too, is thinking of the people who actually are experiencing pain. There's a difference between the pain that someone is experiencing in the hospital, stage 4 cancer.
Right.
It's taken over their body and they can't control any part of that.
Yeah.
And then there's the pain you're experiencing when you're 20 miles into a 26.2 mile race.
Yeah.
Completely different levels of pain. One is all encompassing. The other, you have the ability to control the power and the voice that it influences over you. It's the ability to gauge what type and level of pain it is. But I think too many people bucket pain in one bucket, and it doesn't have levels, it doesn't have echelons. And as soon as they start experiencing it, complete shutdown, give up, quit. And it's a dangerous position to be in, because you will never get to any point of life that you are trying to achieve, any outcome that you want to experience, because the smallest amount of pain will cripple you.
Yeah, I'm yesterday we were kind of talking about how it's common that we see on social media people talking about pain and suffering in their training for, a race. And the way the intensity in which it is communicated, especially when it's like a young kid, that has $200 shoes and makes thousands of dollars from brands to post these reels, and it's just they're talking about pain that is like so deep, and like I'm always curious, like, is this from a place that is like a real life lesson? Like, is this person like really been through some hardship, and is this like that parallel, or is this it? Is this the hardest thing in life? That 20-mile run with some surges in the middle of it. And I think having traveled around the world, and I've had the opportunity to sit and live in orphanages across overseas, visiting Poolsmoor Prison in South Africa was one of the most eye-opening, because there's men who have been put in prison for stealing food for their family and have been in there for 6 months without even a trial. When I think of pain, there was so much healing that I had after losing my mom, stuff that I went through with my dad. There was actually my eyes were totally open when I went and I worked in orphanages and I visited juvenile halls and prisons, and you see pain in such a raw way. It is actually a way of life. It is dark, and it's so full of hopelessness. And here I come walking in, and I'm thinking I've been through something hard. I mean, just like you were saying, it's relative, it's different for all of us, but we don't even know unless we get out there and we go out into the world and we open up our eyes to what is all around us. And so sometimes this narrative of like, wow, my marathon prep is so hard. And they finish the race and like, that's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm like, amazing. Now go apply that to your life. Go apply that to what is good and true. Go apply that and like serve other people with that and see what happens. See what happens when, this is another little piece. And I always feel I can be so vulnerable with you, Nick. When Eddie and I were going through like our really rough season, I remember him actually saying to me, he's like, he would try to talk to me in all like these different angles. And like one day he was just very overwhelmed with sadness. And he says to me, he's like, you always encourage other people to keep pushing when it's hard, to endure, to not give up. And I feel like you're giving up on us so easily. Oh, now I didn't take it that way immediately. I wanted to just like blow up and just, I hated that more than anything. I hated it so much because it was true.
And it felt like an attack, probably.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of tension. But I took that, and I've always known one thing. If something hurts so deeply, then go away alone from it and actually sit with it. Why does that hurt so bad? And realizing that, like, man, my training and what I'm doing in these races, that is a incredible opportunity. That's a gift. That's stuff that I get to do. And I learn a lot of lessons in that I get to apply to my life. But if I am working and I'm training my body and I'm learning all these things about mental toughness and how I can get stronger, but yet I don't apply them to a life that is real, what am I doing? That's foolish. I'm wasting my time. And I think, as I navigate my life, those are the lessons I'm always learning. When it's hard, am I creating character, or is it just absolute chaos? Am I choosing to do something because it's going to create character in me, or because it's something that looks cool and the people are going to like me, or I'm going to make some money off of this? It's not easy to choose the path that creates character, because a lot of times it's unpopular, it's unsexy. There's not really like a lot of external applause that you're going to get because of that. But who we become on the other side, that's invaluable.